Welcome back to the Lost Boyz Podcast. Gianni,
Brandon.
episode 31. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, all that good stuff. So, quick intro today. But for today, we're going to interview
This guy.
Brandon. Brandon's on the hot seat today.
Ooh,
So,
I like the heat.
first question. I have it written down so I don't forget them.
By the way, I don't know what these questions are. Just like, if you haven't seen last week's episode where we interviewed him, definitely go watch. It's entertaining. It's interesting. You're an interesting guy. But like as I was saying, we didn't know the questions ahead of time. Like I don't know his questions. He didn't know my questions. Worth a shot.
Yep.
Let's get back into it.
So let's start it off with the typical question. Tell me about your childhood.
Ooh, tell you about my childhood. See, I always feel like I had a pretty normal childhood, and then I tell certain people things, and they're like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "What? Like, you have a father? What's that like?" I just had to let that joke fly. I could not let that joke fly. My childhood, for me, it felt pretty normal. I was just raised in like mom, sister, few step parents in the picture, but more so just a regular kid who was bad as fuck and came from single mother, sort of.
Okay.
I say sort of because it's like predominantly single mother, but like stepdad mixing here and there, but the most functional, upbringing.
But so, what would you say was like a key moment in your childhood?
A key moment in my childhood. Eesh. I definitely should have asked you what questions you had ahead of time. A key moment in my childhood would be, I would say 4th grade. I realized I had different interests than other kids.
Like what? Like what do you mean by that?
So, for context, 4th grade, that was 2008 for us. At the time, the stock market crashed, and I was fascinated by that. And for me, that was a turning point in like my childhood, because it's like that was a point, and it's funny because fucking 4th graders like, oh, the stock market, right? But for me, it was like that's when my seeking of knowledge began. I was so curious why people were losing their jobs and why everybody was stressed. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest points in my childhood.
Yeah, 4th grade. I didn't even know there was a stock market crash till I got older. I was like, oh yeah, that's crazy. I didn't notice.
Trust me, fucking Avatar and Rugrats were still playing the same. Like,
yeah, literally. Well, there was no difference for me. But why do you think 4th grade out of all like, was it specifically because of that, or was it just 4th grade was just like, that's it, fuck it, new year, new me?
Yeah, no, bro. 8 and 9-year-old me was out here. Nah. I would say just 4th grade because of the timing. I was curious. Like at the time, like my mom was losing her job. I was curious to know why that was happening.
Okay, so there was like events that like stuck out.
Yeah, it was definitely like
it.
External influence that caused it. Not just like a regular kid. Just like, you know what? Yo, it's my 9th birthday. Stocks. Let's get it. Even though I fucking wish, you know how dope that would be? Oh, my future children they would fucking hate me. How dare you be 3 days old and not know what a fucking earnings report is?
Fucking, oh, it's your 4th birthday. All right, we're having a stock market birthday. You have the NASDAQ flowing around through the back.
Show me your watch list.
Yeah. You've been doing any calls lately? Any puts? What's going on there? Dad, I'm 3, bro. I'm not even 18 yet.
Yo, get your ass in the gym. That's one thing about my childhood, real quick. I wish I got in the gym sooner.
In the gym sooner? When did you get into the gym then?
I worked out here and there like every other high school kid. Senior year, I like dabbled with the gym, but I didn't start working out consistently for the first time till March of 2021. Okay. That was the first time in my life I took the gym serious.
It's like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, with you.
Did you ever do anything else though, like before you got into the gym? Or
Yeah,
not?
like I would go into the gym, and at the time,
Like I'm saying, like before the gym,
what do you mean?
like before you ever first went to a gym.
Oh,
Did you ever do anything, or it was just like nah,
sporadically do push-ups here and there.
but like never anything serious?
And whatever conditioning I got from baseball,
Gotcha.
that was pretty much my workout regimen. And then, like I've said this many times before, to me, I think COVID was a gift in my life.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, like throughout the year of COVID, I was just like, yo, like I'm skinny as fuck. I wanted to change that. Like most people want to do with their body. And I remember that's when I hit you up. I was like, yo, I'm going to go sign up at your gym. Went, signed up, went to your gym one time, realized I hated it, and then
Went to
to a different gym.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Dope. I gotta pull up my next question because I forgot it, but that's why I have it written down. So, do you think? So I know you kind of touched on it with like fourth grade and all that, but is there anything in specific? Maybe was it that or anything different that like shaped you into who you are today, or had like that key influence into making you who you are today?
oh yeah,
That if you think back to, it's like, oh, okay, that's what it was.
I think a big majority, even though like it caused me trouble as a kid, in hindsight, I think it's actually very like, this is gonna sound weird to say for people who don't feel this way, but I think the biggest blessing in my life is the lack of like that like strong father figure there, because I would see my mom work so hard, so that in turn made me want to like work hard and get smart and do better. And as a kid, the only thing you know how to do to get better is do better in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as like first, second, third grade, I sucked at school, right? And then fourth, fifth, sixth, and on, I started just like, you know what? No, I need to be better, right? So I got good at school. Just like, I became a good test taker. I didn't really learn much, I'm not gonna lie, but I developed the skill of taking tests. Like, I feel like I can figure tests out. That's a complete different conversation, but that instilled a drive in me to want to do better in just all areas of life, but especially in success. Like, I watched my mom lose her job. I want to make sure that she doesn't have to worry about a job, right?
Yeah.
And it all comes from that specific like lack of a strong father figure, I would say.
So in the long run, it actually ended up becoming a blessing for you.
Yeah, I say it's a huge. I have always said I would not change it. To me, it's a blessing in my life.
That's dope too, because there's a lot of people who like don't have that fortunate, at least mindset, because it really does come down to a mindset. I mean, it is unfortunate if you don't have that, but if you use that as an excuse to then live the rest of your life shitty, then that's on you. Like we mentioned before, like you don't choose what you're born into, but you definitely choose what you die into.
Absolutely. Like, I was very what's the word I'm looking for? I was very angry at the world, if you remember me as a fucking kid, for a long time. And then towards like the end of like senior year, I was like, it's not going to change. And I think the reason why a lot of people struggle with their situations is because they keep hoping for a change rather than just making the change.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, I was just like, you know what? This is what it is, right? What can I do about it? Like, all right, in the grand scheme of things, nothing. So I'm not gonna fucking stress it. Like, I made my peace with the situation, and I always had the drive to do better. But once I made my peace, it was like I can focus on doing better.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Were there any hardships that like came from it though? Like in hindsight, it became a good thing, but during it, before you realized this, was there anything that was like negative that it created?
It created a little bit of jealousy and a lot of anger issues. Jealousy because as a kid, right, you look around and you're like, all right, mom, dad, and then like you start thinking, but so as a kid, there was like a little bit of jealousy, but the reason why I say a lot of anger issues is because I did not know for a long time how to control myself when I was mad. I would get mad and just want to like punch walls and break things and like literally cause pain to people, which is not a healthy thing, like at all. I think we can all agree on. But, and in hindsight, looking at it, I was like, wow, like I was so aggressive when I was mad. And this is why I always say, like, we learn things from both mom and dad. One of the things we learn from our fathers is how to control yourself when you're mad, how to control your anger, right? Which is, I had the perfect mother for my life, right? Like, if I, as a kid, if I had the mother I wanted, I would probably be a drug addict somewhere. Like, I had the perfect mother I needed. But there's certain things that is hard to teach if you don't know yourself, right? So she experiences anger different than me. So I was kind of like a wild card when it came to anger until I got older, and I was like, yo, this is not fucking healthy. Like, and I think if you look around today, there's a lot of grown men that are just children who never learned how to control their anger.
100%. I agree with that. I think a lot of it too is just emotions in general, like not just anger, like all types of emotion.
Oh yeah. Like I think about it now, and it's crazy because my mindset was so different before, where if you take somebody, and we've had this discussion, right? But it's like somebody who gets angry easily, yeah, they might look strong, but they're actually weak. Because it's like, oh, you can have all the power in the world if you don't know how to control it.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Exactly. So it's like, I became badass to me, the person who knows that they could like cause damage or could do something, but knows how to control it. It's just reserved. Like, if you've ever seen somebody go crazy and somebody just nonchalant about it,
yeah,
everybody always looks at that nonchalant person like, yo, that's badass, like, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason behind it, because it's true. That person knows how to fucking control themselves.
Yeah. It's controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like Thomas Shelby so much. For that exact reason. He's always like, and then does the most violent shit ever. But he's so calm and like collected throughout it. Like, there's a whole thought process going into it.
Oh yeah.
He's not just like Arthur just bugging the fuck out.
Exactly. Arthur, that's actually a really good comparison, because if you look at Tommy and Arthur, they have a lot of the same pain and a lot of the same suffering. But there's a reason why Arthur does all the dirty work.
Yeah.
And if you watch the show, you know, like, who Arthur is and how uncontrollable he is.
Yeah.
But there's reasons behind that, right? Damn. I was going to say something, but I lost my train of thought.
All right. Well, if you get it back, we'll jump into it. For the next question, though. So, you mentioned high school a little bit. Talk about high school, like teenage years for you. What was that like?
Teenage years for me. So, I was extremely introverted in high school, which is so weird to think, because I played like sports and shit, but I didn't have it in me to like walk up to people and just start conversation. The people I became cool with through sports. So I was definitely introverted. I was frail. But I was very dedicated to like, I was that kid that didn't go to parties. I was that kid that like didn't smoke or drink. I didn't drink for the first time, fun fact, until my senior year of high school. Fun fact. Junior year, I'm lying. Summer going into senior year, that's when I started drinking beer. But maybe I've had a few drinks before that. Now I'm trying to like find out the exact dates. But I didn't smoke for the first time until senior year. But I was definitely more introverted, definitely quieter, way more not focused, but like in high school I was very adamant on where I wanted to go. Like, kids were looking at colleges, I was looking at like, all right, we got to start some businesses. Like, I definitely stressed college because I knew I didn't want to go to college, right? Like most people, I went to college because my mom wanted me to. And then I committed to drop out university.
Grade school.
Oh, listen, 10 out of 10 for me would not change a thing. but
That decision process, like, was it a tough one for you, or were you just kind of like, nah, fuck that?
that decision process for me was, it was difficult because I, like many people, was very focused on, like, I never wanted to disappoint like my mom or anything like that. And I knew she wanted me to go to college, but it's like one of those things. And I knew I didn't want to go, but I was just like, how long can I keep up the avatar, right? How long can I keep up the facade that, like, oh, I'm doing good and I love this, right? And here's a spoiler alert for you. Many things that we just do just to, like, please people doesn't last very long. Like, my first semester, got, like, perfect grades. Second semester, a little less. By the end of my third semester, bro, my GPA was dog shit. Because it's like, at the end of the day, the want to not to disappoint somebody else isn't going to keep you awake at 3 in the morning because you haven't finished that paper. Like, at the end of the day, for me, I was like, I'm going the fuck to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care enough about this. But at the time, I was heavy into the stock market. But when it came to, like, looking at earnings reports and things like that, like the nerd that I fucking am, I could stay up all night looking at things like that. And that was a sign to me of, like, no, I'm into things. This just isn't what I'm into.
Yeah, my fault, go ahead.
I was going to say, it was definitely probably one of the most stressful points of my life. Not the most stressful situation, but definitely up there at the time. Like, if you put it into perspective, because I was like, I remember stressing, like, yo, I'm going to need to move out. Mom's going to kick me out. I remember hitting up Jeremy, like, yo, dude, I think I might have to go live with you. Like, I didn't, because it literally, like many things in life, was all in my head. What came of that situation and me taking the gamble on myself is that my mom, that I was so worried about disappointing, actually, I earned her trust in that I was going to figure it out. Until this day, like, I work with people that have their, like, you know, like,
Their degrees,
that are in crazy amounts of debt for their degrees, yet we make the same amount of money and I have no debt.
Yeah.
So I look at that as a win. Like, that's enough to carry me to the point where it's like, all right, I made the right decision so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there's somebody, we spoke about him earlier. But when I was working there, we were talking about it one time. He asked me where I went to school. I was like, oh, I only got my associate's degree at, like, a community college. He's like, oh, that's cool, man. Just don't tell me that again, because I actually did 4 years and we worked the same job. And I just started dying laughing. I was like, hey, man, just charge it to the game.
Like, it's true. And there's going to be people that go to 4-year, even go to 8-year schools, right, to get their super fucking
PhD.
steroid doctorates and everything like that, right? Dope. If that's the route you want to go, dope. Like, by all means. I'm not here to talk anybody out of college. But for me, I felt it was the best decision to make. I also think the world has changed to be very accepting to people outside of college. Like, college isn't the only route anymore.
Yeah, I think it's changing.
Absolutely. I was willing to take that gamble. I was like, you know what? And this is one of the things I feel like everybody has to do at some point in their life. You have to see what you're capable of. Like, you have to test out, all right, what can I figure out? For me, it was, all right, I'm not going to go to college. Let me figure this out. I got a job at fucking McDonald's. Like, probably one of the lowest end jobs you can start at, right? Like, I took a lot of shit working at McDonald's, but I learned a lot of shit. I learned how a business actually runs. I developed characteristics from these jobs. Granted, it was a minimum wage job in New York, but I realized something working there and working at all my other jobs too. Every job has a cash reserve. Like, there's the bank, there's registers, but, like, McDonald's has a cash reserve. And didn't understand why they did that, and like they cycle it through, right? Like they take money out, they put new money in, and everything like that. But there's never a moment where McDonald's does not have cash. So what did that in turn do for me? It was like, you know what? I save money on like card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of credit because McDonald's did everything on credit. And I also keep a cash reserve too. I operate myself the way I watched the businesses that I worked for operate. And in turn, that has helped me save money and be way more efficient with money. Because McDonald's ain't spending all their money. Like, McDonald's ain't going broke.
Yeah.
Even if, this is about to be a whole side tangent, even if McDonald's never sold another burger, McDonald's will still be one of the richest companies in the world. Because
the reserves, and they're very diverse. McDonald's owns burgers that they sell to you, but they also own the dirt that you're walking on to go in to get the burger. That's true.
You could have one job, but if that job fires you, you're fucked. Now, if you have side hustles, if you have different streams of income, like I know people who are killing it flipping things on eBay. I know people who are killing it renting out their car on weekends. Like, and renting out the car is a whole different car. I'm about to get so sidetracked, but like side hustles could be like 4 episodes in of itself. But
yeah.
It's like, look at finances like a chair, right? The more streams of income you have, the more legs your chair has, the sturdier it's gonna be.
Yeah.
If you just have your job, that's not even a stool. That's like you're really just balancing.
Yeah, it's a unicycle.
It's true. It's true.
No, yeah. No, you said a lot of things I actually really agree with, especially when you were talking about college, about the part of like doing it for someone else. It's not the same as like if you do something for yourself, because I felt the same way. I managed to make it through the 2 years. How? I don't know, because I really did not try either, but I still managed to get through. But when I got to the 4-year university, that's when I had that same realization, like, yeah, nah, this isn't it. And like, I can't keep wearing this mask. Like the mask is coming off. It's just not me. So I definitely relate to that a lot.
See, I like the way you put that with the mask, because until you gamble on yourself, you don't understand, like, your finances might go down, your stabilities might go down, but the sudden fucking freeness you feel when you bet on yourself is wild. You're going to feel more pressure than you felt before, though. Like, now you got to figure it out. But it's like, think about the times where you've had to gamble on you, right? It's so fucking freeing. It's like, all right, suddenly I'm not chained anymore, and I can, or like the glasses are off, I can see like different opportunity now. Like, maybe you go to school for 4 years and you spend so many nights studying that you don't hang out with your cousin and end up coming up with a dope idea for a podcast.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
You can't predict how life goes, but if you force your path, like, all right, I'm going to go this route, maybe that route itself might not work, but that route will put you on the path that does work. Like,
yeah, you saying that just brought so much realization to my head in my own life. I just like realized events that have happened, that have repeated, but progressively got better each time. And like you were just saying, and in my head, I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh shit, that's like actually what's just been happening in my life. Like if I, like, for example, like I started off in retro. Well, actually, no, I did things before, but really starting off from retro Fort Lee the first time. From there, I worked. I left a job because I moved. I got a serving job. I started making more money. Then COVID happened, whatever. I'm not going to count that. When you could work again, I ended up going back to retro. So I went backwards again. I was making less money again, longer period of time. Then I went to Amazon. I was making the most money ever. Then I went, took a gamble, because I knew each time I'm leaving is because I know this isn't me. This isn't me. And so I leave Amazon. Now I'm broke. I go backwards to a liquor store, making minimum wage again. And then I landed the sales job. And then I got, like, each time it's progressively gone better. And now I'm gone, back at retro again. So now we're going to see what happens in the future. But either way, that's just the realization that came into my head that, like, it's relatable. So I don't know if it's relatable for others, but what you just said.
what I want to point out in what you just said is like, all right, so bam, right? I gotta remember, camera's flipped. So down here, right, we got retro. Better job, back down. Better job, back down. But every time you went up, you went even higher.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is
That you're
important.
talking about. Yeah.
You break through that ceiling. Like I think we've mentioned this on the podcast before. I remember when we were texting like a few weeks ago, and it was like, yo, this was at one point, like, it's crazy. You said something was a worst case scenario, and I was like, it's crazy you said that that's a worst case scenario, because that was once our best case scenario.
Yeah, it was about the job.
Yeah.
Current job.
So it's like you have to gamble on yourself,
Yeah.
because you don't understand what you're actually capable of until you put yourself in the position to be capable of that thing. Like,
Yep.
if you look at people who fucking single mothers with kids that are making minimum wage, right? At the end of the day, those kids are still eating, hopefully, right? They're still eating and there's still a roof over their head, despite fucking Timothy down the street who lives at home, has the same minimum wage job, right? But can't even afford the food he sells because he blows all his money, right?
Mm-hmm.
The difference is the single mothers in the position to figure it out, like have to figure it out. So that money is like, all right, I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to figure out what to do with it. Well, Timmy doesn't have to figure it out. So he just blows it. Same amount of income. One's way more like, way more pressure and way more like risk and reward, so to say.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I'm sure like you realize like working some of your jobs, there's you and you have your money and you're like just getting by or whatever. You know, you're doing okay enough, but then there's like a coworker who just bought himself like a BMW or something. Like, bro, we have the same salary. How the fuck did you just buy that?
It's true.
It's just like puts in perspective. It depends what you really want, and then you figure it out from there.
Nah, it's so true. I look at other people's purchases sometimes and I'm like,
¿Cómo?
yeah, like that's gonna be rough. But I was actually having this thought today before I came here. I stopped and got food, and as they were handing me my food through the window, I was looking at the people that were working there, and it was a night crew, and it was a McDonald's, right? I got a McChicken, and I was looking at them, and I was just like, it gave me a flashback to when I was at McDonald's, and the first time, because like you, I went to McDonald's, quit, went back, stayed there for even longer. Like I went to McDonald's for 3 months, quit, came back after I dropped out, and I stayed there for like over a year. I think a year to date, yeah, like March 2nd to March 2nd, I think were my exact days. And then tried 17 other things that all failed, right? But looking at the window while they were handing me my food, I remember thinking, like, these are older people. Like, I'm talking like people like 50 plus, right? And they're working at a McDonald's, right? And I'm not knocking nobody, right? Get your money however you can. But I was looking at them and I was like, it reminded me to a moment in McDonald's when there was a woman that worked with us. She was older, like I'm talking like 60s probably, like older. And she was sitting there cleaning all the tables, and like people were disrespectful to the cleaners of the tables. We called them like the floor crew. And I remember like swearing to myself, and again, this ain't a knock to nobody's parents, nothing like that, that no matter what I had to fucking do, I will not be in that position. Like, it's one of those things that truly instilled fear in me. Like, being in that position instilled pure fear in me. And tonight, while they were handing me my food, like, I felt that fear again. Like, I refuse to be in that fucking position.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. I mean, most people should have that. That's what's going to get you to where you need to be. But I feel like it also comes down to a mindset. Like, you have to be in that mindset, like, looking for that, too. Because you're just, like, whatever through life, then life is just going to be whatever. So, yeah. But to bring it back to you in full circle now, what would you say has been your biggest life takeaway in general, then, up to date?
My biggest life takeaway up to date. That is a good question. that we can figure anything out, I would say. Like, at the end of the day, if you zoom out and you look at just your life, like take this moment out of the equation, look at everything from the moment you were born till right now, right? 24 years old. You're born, you needed to communicate because you needed fucking titty milk. Guess what? You learned how to talk. You needed to be mobile. You learned how to walk. You needed to fucking, I don't know, stop shitting yourself. You learned how to use the toilet. You needed to become a functioning creature. You learned math and reading. And there are all these things that we learn that we think is for like survival, right? Like at the end of the day, that's why we have the ability to learn. It's to survive. Mm-hmm. We're such special creatures that we can figure anything out. I think we stop ourselves from figuring shit out. We overcomplicate things. We dramatize. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, make things more dramatic than they are. We make excuses for why things can't be. At the end of the day, you can figure anything out. Like, that. I've said this to, like, Jeremy and Kendall and them a few times, right? My one superpower is that I can figure anything the fuck out. Back against the wall, you're going to figure it out. Like, if a fucking lion came in front of you right now and just pulled up on you, at the end of the day, you might not win, but your body's going to try to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Like, you have an innate ability to figure shit out. Let yourself figure shit out. And I think we live in a world where people don't want to figure things out. People want everything just...
Yeah. I think that it's not only that they don't want to figure it out, but if they do have to figure it out, that it just falls on their lap. And that's how they find out. Not like them actually going out trying to find the actual answer themselves.
You just reminded me of something that my manager said one time. And I think this mentality is probably one of the most valuable things I've learned at any job I've worked. And he said that as a manager, his job is just to teach me to know what to do when I don't know what to do, right? And then I got to thinking about that, and it was like, that's the point we have to get to in life. Know what to do when we don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Because 9 in 10 times, we don't know what to do. Like, we don't know if we should invest our money in crypto or get a job or quit our job and become content creators or fuck that, get into like X, Y, and Z. But in that moment of chaos, knowing what to do is fucking vital.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one, actually. That's a good one. So, my next question, what is the biggest difference you would say then between you then and now? Now that you have this mindset and that's your biggest takeaway going into life for the future versus not having that in the past?
I'm not afraid of not figuring it out. I don't want to word it that way. I'm not afraid of failing as much.
Like, you're not afraid of not knowing?
Yeah, that well said. Like, back then it was like, if I didn't know what to do or if I didn't know the outcome, I would typically not do it. But now it's like, no, wait, that's the fun part. Mm-hmm. Like, how crazy it is when, I feel like the gym is always going to come up, but when you test a new weight, like, you're like, I don't know if I could do this, and then you do it, and you succeed at it, it's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, that, to me, is like one of life's fucking joys. To me, that's a crazier drug than, like, I don't know, I've only smoked weed in my life, but it's crazier than that, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Again, yeah, you've been saying a lot of good shit.
Listen, I didn't know any of the questions ahead of time.
Yeah, no, you're just saying a lot of things that's like, I'm making realizations in my own life as you're saying them. Like, oh shit, yeah, that is a good point. Because I like noticed similar things. And I think we have similar minds because we hang out a lot. Very so true. We have similar like things we've noticed or learned and stuff.
Agreed.
So it's a lot of it is just hitting home.
It's funny because to us, like, we know we're similar, but to us, we're like different.
Different, yeah.
But then to other people, it's like, oh my God, you guys are like
exactly
so,
the same, yeah.
And I'm just like, what? No, he's like X, Y, and Z, and I'm like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. My biggest one is like, I'm more introverted, monotone, talk low. He's like the opposite of that.
Yeah, literally. I talk loud as fuck. I'm very animated.
Yeah. And I'm just like this. Yeah. yeah. But, so with that, all that, is there anything you would have done differently? Or is there anything you would do differently?
Is there anything I would have done differently? Not to be that guy to be like, oh, I wouldn't change a thing, because fuck yeah, I would change a few things. I would have invested in fucking Bitcoin in high school. Like, come on.
Hell yeah.
Like,
that's the first time I heard of Bitcoin. It was in high school too. I remember hearing it and I was like, the fuck is that? There was someone in my class with Corey.
Yeah.
So one of his friends, it was his friend who mentioned Bitcoin one time on the bus during baseball, because one player was buying a fake ID from another, and he was like, "No, don't give me cash. Send me Bitcoin." I was like, "What the fuck is that?" He was like, "It's just like some black market shit." And I was like, "Okay." And then the next year, fucking Bitcoin went through the roof, and that kid made millions. Well, I don't know if he did 100%, but I'm almost positive he did.
But I forgot what it is. $100 in Bitcoin in like 14 or 15 or 16, that time frame was like $70 million. Like at some point, I don't know what it is now because last I saw Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is he made a killing. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. What was the question?
Is there anything you'd do differently?
I would have lived more. I spent a lot of time afraid of the unknown that I didn't allow myself to live. And that's where like my motto now, where it's like, are you living life or is life living you, comes from? Mm-hmm. Because I spent so much time letting life live me. I didn't want to go to parties, which, yeah, sure, it seems good that I didn't want to go to parties, but I think that's a part of life. Like that's an experience of life. So I didn't start doing that until later on. Traveled more. I feel like I waited too long to start traveling. I'm trying to think what else. And at the end of the day, these aren't regrets that I sit up at night. Oh, fuck yeah, there's one thing I will change. Yeah, this is a regret. Fucking quarantine. Bro, I would have went in during quarantine. Yeah. I said I would have. I didn't. But, like, I should have gotten in during quarantine. Like, picked up a new skill. Dog, imagine if I learned how to code fucking March 4th. 2020, I'd be a millionaire by now.
Yeah, some people took advantage of it and some others didn't, including myself. But yeah, I think we spoke about it in the last one too. Yeah, I said pretty much something similar too. I was like, yeah, I definitely, if I could go back, I would definitely do something different about that, but I don't regret it.
It's true. Like, yeah, no, it's not a regret, but it's something that like I look at as like, that could have been better.
Yeah.
My KD in Call of Duty went up though.
Facts. Look, I'm not the best Call of Duty player, but I was starting to get nice. And by nice, I mean shit talking nice, not actually playing.
Hey, if you got under their skin, that's a W.
Yeah, that was my go-to. Like, fuck it, I can't beat them. I'm gonna just talk shit. But so to close it out, what message or advice would you give the audience based off your life experiences?
What message or advice would I give the audience? I would say take the chance, gamble. Like, it could not work, but it could also work out way better than you think it could. Like, just take the fucking leap. I always I don't think the audience understands how much this podcast affects like my life and your life, right? At least for me, like taking the leap of sitting in front of the camera and being vulnerable has improved my life so fucking much and has improved my like social skills so much, has improved my like risk taking so much, has improved my discipline so much, because By the way, 31 weeks, still haven't missed an upload. Just saying. But and this goes back to my point about when it's something you do want to do, because yeah, we wouldn't stay up to type that paper, but we'll stay up to record an episode. Mm-hmm. You can go back and see us yawning and talking about like, oh, it's like 2 a.m. when we're recording. Like, it just goes to show like you can't fucking do it, and you also don't know like what the reward is too. Like, the reward for this, yeah, not naive that a podcast can make money or can blow up or anything like that. But the reward became for me this. Knowing that, yo, we're about to have a fire conversation tonight. So, to sum up my long-winded response, take the fucking leap.
There you have it. Brandon's interview. Take the leap. Otherwise, he's going to be in your dreams. Mm-hmm. And he'll have to show up in your dreams, because they'll only be dreams if you don't take the leap.
Yo. Bars.
But yeah, so with that being said, that's Lost Boyz Podcast, episode 31. You guys met me. You've met Brandon now. So we'll see what tomorrow, what next week brings us. I said tomorrow because I was thinking of a different channel, but which maybe we'll make announcements soon. We're going to start making our personal brands. Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout for that.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Again, if you're new, subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, all that good stuff. Follow us on everything. Check out all the socials. Everything's down in the description below, so just check that out. Any closing thoughts? Any last thing you want to say?
Any last things I want to say? Yeah. Start suggesting some fucking topics.
Yeah, literally. The link to it is in the description down below. All you have to do is click it, drop something in. It's anonymous, so we won't even know if you don't want us to know.
It's true.
And yeah.
Episode 31.
Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.